Welcome.
Hi.
Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us this evening again. Yay, we're here for for a very deep conversation, but we'll try and keep it as light-hearted as possible. Before I get into it, I just want to introduce these two amazing people who are very dear to me. Don't look like that. Yes, they are the founder and the director of First Class Legacy, Nathan and Sabrina Dennis. How amazing of you to just join us this evening. I know you'll give a bit of a backstory as to how long you guys have been together, who you are, how you've met, and all that kind of stuff. So I won't go into it, but I just want to thank you for joining us this evening to give people some hope, to give people some helpful tips.
Thank you for having us. Thank you.
Advice.
Awesome.
So yes, I know that people will be blessed by the information that you share.
Okay.
Fingers crossed.
They will be, most definitely.
Okay, I am Sabrina Dennis.
I'm Nathan Dennis.
And I am the CEO of First Class Legacy Limited and the founder of Kitchen Table Talk.
And I'm Nathan Dennis, founder of First Class Legacy and director.
Yes, he is.
And also we just recently started a charity. So at the start of this video, you would have seen that we've just recently set up a charity called First Class Foundation that is here to deal with three key aims, which is around helping reduce youth violence and improving young people's mental health, and also connecting young people to their purpose.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That's us in a very small nutshell.
But we've been together, we've been married, we just recently celebrated a 14-year wedding anniversary. And yeah, we work together, we have a business together, we now have a charity, we do kitchen table talks, we have 4 daughters together.
And I am also the author of a book called A Piece of the Pie, that kind of talks about some of the stuff we're going to share as well today. Yeah.
Awesome.
Oh, I'm looking forward to it. I know you guys, I've given you some questions that have come in from parents and people of the community. So just as a disclaimer, guys, these are quite deep, and we'll try and go into as much depth as we can. But if we don't have the time for it, then please do contact us directly and we'll be able to answer any further questions that you may have.
And just to say before we say the questions and go into stuff, is that confidentiality is one of our highest, priority here at First Class and Kitchen Table Talks. Our policies, we have procedures in place to ensure that when people are sending questions to us, your identity won't be revealed, it's protected. So it's important just to say that there's a practice, there's a governance that we adhere to.
Yes, most definitely. So guys, shall we get into it? Shall we get into the first question?
Let's go.
Okay. So the first question is, how do I manage my patience with my partner during this time?
Of COVID-19?
Of COVID-19, yeah.
My patience.
I think that COVID-19 or this pandemic that we're in is like you described it as a pressure cooker. So we are already feeling tense and impatient and tired and overwhelmed and all of the other emotions and feelings that we're feeling because of this. And it's important to recognize where those feelings are coming from. Sometimes it could be the fact that you can't go out as much as you want to. So that on top of everything else exasperates the situation. And it's about managing your expectations of what you want to see happen in your home. Patience is a virtue, that's what they say. But in this situation, it's a little bit different because we've got lots of other factors being pulled in. It's not as though it's a normal environment that we're living in. And so I think we have to be especially aware of that firstly, before we think about the next thing. do you want to add to what you're going to go?
I'm just thinking in terms of the question, it depends on what the patience is. Is the patience in terms of what are you being patient about? Is it about, like patience is like, it's like an act in it. So if Sabrina has to be patient with me because I'm taking long to come back from the shop or doing something, I'm just thinking,
what is it?
What's the patience around? Is it the patience in terms of your expectations, in terms of change? What is the patience? I'm losing my patience with my partner during this time. Claudia, are you able to give a bit more context?
Yeah. So I think it was more around they were becoming short-fused, basically. Impatient with everything. I think her partner was kind of a bit too laid back, and she just wanted to have some advice on how she can manage her impatience then.
Yeah, I think it's so important, and this is where we'll probably talk about some of our sheets that we've created, where we check in with ourselves and understand our expectations that we have. One of the key things that I think is imperative that we do is, outside of what the media is telling us and outside of what's happening outside our homes, is that we truly check in and just allow ourselves to unpack what has been something that we've never seen in history before, and understand that when you're unpacking that this COVID-19 and this pandemic is causing mental challenges, emotional challenges, physical challenges, because we can't go out there and do things that we normally do. Yeah. And really allow yourself to just check in and just kind of like take stock of what is happening. Because I think sometimes, depending on what environment you're around, and say if you've got a talent, you could just be thrown into saying, if you're a musician, posting musician stuff, or doing your business or whatever it is, and we're reacting. And some of the times we're not just being still enough to stop and really take stock on like where we are and what is happening.
Yeah.
Because if you're not taking stock as an individual and then coming together to take stock, how can you be impatient with each other if you don't even understand the expectations? So it's about coming to a common understanding. It's about checking in from a mental perspective. How's your mind thinking, feeling? How's your emotions? How are you? How's this impacting you? If you've got children, bringing the children into the space to talk and have those conversations.
Yeah. That
is with no distractions, no mobile phones, no TVs, no radio, no music, just conversations, old school. Talking.
And I think it's like you said, recognizing how you feel, where you are. There's a reason why you are impatient, and it isn't probably because the washing wasn't done. that's just the output. Like that's a byproduct of your feelings. Those feelings are coming from probably a lot of other factors. But if you don't take time to stop and feel it, and actually not distract yourself by making yourself overly busy or seeming to be overproductive, because if you was to look at everything that people are doing, there's some amazing things that are happening in this time. People are launching companies, they're seeing growth and productivity, but that might not be your portion.
Yeah.
Well, I would say get a piece of paper, write down a list of all of your expectations. What are those expectations? What do you hope to see? What are you expecting on a day-to-day perspective? What are you expecting in the morning? What are you expecting at lunchtime? What are you expecting at dinner time? What are you expecting at night time? If you even break your day up into like 4 quadrants, I think you call it, your morning, your lunch, your afternoon, and your evening. And like, what are your expectations?
And does your partner know them?
Yeah, that's a good one.
And that's why I'm saying to write it down first, get it clear in your own mind, and then find that time to conversate, not with anger, not with frustration. Check your emotions. Where is this coming from? Is this coming from a place of love for the betterment of the family, for the relationship? Or is this just coming out of anger? And how will it be received if it's coming out from a place of anger?
Can I just add as well that in your expectations, and I'm thinking of me as a woman now, my expectations can be presented like this. Well, I want this done, this done, this done, this done, this done by this time, and I want this and this and it's about expressing yourself, but not being demanding and not expecting that to happen.
No, man.
And having a conversation about it.
Yeah, I think it's so important that we break down that as well, in terms of how we communicate, because Sabrina is not my mum.
No.
She's my wife. She's my friend, my best friend, in fact. And it's so important that you don't assume the role of, because there's been times, you know, and this is about communication, that when Sabrina's talking to the children and she's like, bah, 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 she's just in that mode of mummy, and then she tries to speak to me like that, and I'm like, Sabrina, darling. And I says, why are you speaking to me like I'm the kid, the children? And it's so important that, because when we have expectations, with that expectation comes passion, and sometimes our energy can be wrong in terms of how we're talking. Yeah. First of all, most regardless of how you feel about your man, you have to respect each other. In a sense, he's a man, but
have respect.
Just have respect.
Yeah, have respect, definitely.
You know, if you're speaking down to someone or speaking to someone with anger or frustration, right, you're gonna, what you put in, you're gonna get back out.
Yeah, and timing's everything, by the way. I used to say this at the beginning of our relationship, and even now sometimes if I'm not ready to hear the answer to the question, I don't ask the question or I don't broach the subject.
That's true, actually.
I'm not ready for it. Like, I think I'm ready, but I know I'm not ready because I'm probably going to respond in the way that isn't healthy.
Never.
Don't do it if you're not ready. Or you're hungry, or you're tired.
Or you're tired.
It's like,
and it's about using wisdom. One of the things that I respect about Sabrina is her level of wisdom. So when I'm hungry, for instance, Sabrina kind of not all the time she used to get it. But sometimes I'm hungry and Sabrina's trying to have a full-blown conversation with me, and I'm like irritated. Like, why are you going on? You're like. And sometimes I say, Sabrina, like, I haven't ate. Like,
I don't know.
Or like I'm tired. Because sometimes Sabrina wants to just tell me something, or vice versa, and it's about discerning and understanding your partner. In a way that's saying, what is the best time to approach this? Don't just try and, when the first thing in the morning, or I've just come back in from work, or
all guns blazing,
and then you want to go wham, and what do you expect from me?
Right, timing, everything.
It's hard for everyone. The same way how COVID-19 is impacting you, male or female.
It's impacting the other person.
It's impacting your partner on the other side, like big time. Hope that was helpful.
Hope that answers the question.
That was so jam-packed. Like, I know that I have taken tips from that myself, because that laying out the expectations, I think, is a lot of people's downfalls. They're expecting the other person to know what their expectations are, and that doesn't work. So the communication.
Some of our sheets, we'll have people give further nuggets. I think that will be helpful. Because there's certain systems and things that we've had to put in place within our own relationship to make sure these things get covered in terms of expectations. I think Sabrina in a bit is going to talk about some of the 4 key questions that we've asked ourselves while we've been in lockdown as a couple and as a family.
Oh, that'd be good. That'd be good. Oh, thank you for that response. That was amazing. Okay, so the next question. I am really struggling with my partner at the moment. How do I tell him firmly that I need him to help out around the house? I'm at breaking point. So I think it kind of links very closely to the response that you just gave.
I have issue with the word firm.
Yeah, me.
And the reason why I have an issue with the word firm, because why do you feel like you need to speak to your partner with the word firm? Because you see, like, the fundamental ingredients that we have to be using in our relationships is the word love, patience, respect, honor, love. Now, Sabrina can tell me anything she wants to tell me.
How you say it is everything.
But how you say it is everything. And the reason why we probably speak about a lot of stuff is because if Sabrina's asking me that I need help, it's not going to be in a firm way, like it's not a bad up, like.
Yeah, I'm not badding you up to get you to do something wouldn't go down well.
He's not going to get the response.
It's not going to go down well. Not here anyway.
But we have a conversation about it, and the key thing is that I will hear is Sabrina's heart. I would hear that actually she's feeling overwhelmed and she's getting close to breaking point. And then it's for me as a man to hear that. And then if I have any sense, I'll ask the next question and say, Sabrina, what is it that you want? What could I do to help? I understand that some people might not have that communication level or insight. I know it sounds like something simple, but wouldn't be able to be that sensitive to even ask the question like, what is it you want from me? Because some men will probably hear that as just nagging and moaning. So it's important to just approach, but when you're approaching the situation or the issue, is to have some clear outcomes that you want to see. But I think sometimes people have their preconceived ideas.
It's the same thing.
It's like, I can't come to you and say, I want Sabrina to do this, do that. So when I tell Sabrina she's going to do this, do that, I have to understand and respect Sabrina's her own person, that she might not respond to what I'm saying.
And also, I think it's the same, it's similar to what we were talking about, but it's, as a woman, it's kind of breaking it down in your head, like, what was you expecting to happen? Has this ever happened before? Like, COVID-19, as I said before, is a pressure cooker. It puts pressure on relationships, and it will expose things in the worst possible way, but things that were always there. So in this time, if everyone's together in the home and nobody ever tidied up and nobody cleaned up and you always did it, well, why would you be expecting it to be any different? Because you've always done it. Yeah,
so what's happened is that basically, it's a magnifying, it's a pressure cooker. All this is doing is just revealing the truth. And I think that's important, is that like when everyone's talking about the different questions that we've received, is to actually ask all yourselves a question. Like, how were things in your relationship before COVID-19 really? Because what I think's happened, Claudia, if the truth be known, and just from some of the stuff that I'm hearing and picking up, and people are saying, oh, I didn't know my partner, or I'm hearing some stuff and I'm thinking, wow. Is that, I'm thinking, was work then a distraction? So when we had the opportunity to leave the house and go to work and run up and down, it was an avoidance to address some issues that I may have been there already. So what I think COVID-19 is presenting is that actually bringing stuff to the surface. It's like it's like a boiling, and like all the stuff that was there is coming up now. All the what is it, the muck of your relationship. It's like you're getting squeezed, and all the muck and everything that's in the relationship that really exists is coming to the surface. But that doesn't mean you have to be afraid. You just have to be aware that that could be happening, and actually together you can work together to clean that up.
But in response to that question in particular, I think it comes back down to the expectations again, and communication of how you would like to see more effort put in, and what you realistically think is going to change. Because as I said before, we are here all together all the time. We have 4 daughters, and I do, between all of us, we all do housework, but I probably do most of it. And if I was to just all of a sudden say, oh, this is too much, I've had enough, I can't do no more, you need to do more. But Sabrina, you've always been doing it. Like, what is it? Is it because we're now, what is it kind of thing? Is it because we're in the house and it's just untidy all the time because everybody's in it all the time, and that's getting to you? But if that's the case, and we as a team in the house need to take responsibility for our mess that we're making as a team, not just you and I.
I think it's important that we add because I think
the communication.
Yeah, because I think what I'm conscious of is that we keep on saying communication.
What's to talk about it?
But we have to probably break that down even more. I think it might be good to just share some of us between the sheets, because it might help give some context. So if you go on to, I'm going to do a screen share.
That's fine.
Hopefully this will work. Because there's different environments where we communicate, and we've had to, this might sound so dry to some people that are listening, but we've had to systemize when and where we communicate, at what days and times,
to help
manage
that we do communicate.
So this is something that we've been developing called Between the Sheets, and basically it's the different sheets. It could be between the systems, So it's different sheets that we've created. We've kind of played with the word because we know relationships always, I want to talk about sheets like bedroom sheets. It's not necessarily bedroom sheets, but it's sheets and systems that we put in our relationship to help us manage it. So I'm just going to quickly touch on it. And for those who didn't see it, we've done it between the sheets on the 6th of May to celebrate our 14-year wedding anniversary. But I've just done an edited version for tonight's discussion. So we've already said we've been married for 14 years, doing life together. Lots of stuff, we work together, we're in business together, we've done events together where we've done relationship events. For those who are watching, the top right event in the corner, it was our first, I think, relationship event that we ever done called Naked, and that was like a real rugged and raw. The picture in the bottom middle was a documentary that was a part of called Black Love. I believe it's out there online and you can watch that. And also the top left picture was an event that we did at the Cube in Birmingham, where we invited couples together to talk about some of the sheets that we'd had developed. Please feel free to time in, Sabrina.
Yeah, no, you carry on, that's fine. So
yeah, this is some pictures of us together, we work together. This is your book, Sabrina?
Yeah, my book called A Piece of the Pie. You can get it online, you can visit my website, sabrinadennis.org to order it. But it does detail sort of an overview of all of the sheets and actually a lot more family structures that you can implement yourself in your home, particular housework and things like that. I do talk about that quite a bit in terms of creating a family timetable that we all agree together.
But I think what's important as well, but probably just to mention, you might not remember this, there's a part in Sabrina's book when she talks about the note that her mum used to leave in terms of the house with the Saturday chores.
Yeah, so in the Caribbean, with Caribbean background, my mum would go to work on a Saturday and she'd leave a note, Sabrina and Leon, clean up the house and put on the suit till I get back, Mum. That was it. Leave it on the back of an envelope in probably like pink highlighter pen. And then we'd have to get the note and we'd have to make sure by the time she comes back on a Saturday, so she's gone from 10 till 2, and by 2 o'clock, suit, cook, house clean, shopping put away, whatever it is, and that's what we had to do.
Yeah.
But the reason I raised it, just for context, was how you grow up, your childhood experiences impact your relationship today.
Yeah.
Like nothing that we learn or we do in our terms of our behavior just happens. A lot of the stuff that Sabrina, in terms of Sabrina's kind of house management and cooking and certain things, she was doing from when she was a child. So that's important that if you guys really want your relationship to work, sometimes you have to go really way back to understand your childhood experiences. What were the examples that you've seen growing up? Because sometimes it's your childhood experiences that's impacting your adulthood experiences.
Absolutely.
I agree.
So some of the sheets that we do, this one is around
Monday.
How we plan our Mondays.
Yeah.
Every Monday, we will sit down or on the phone and have a conversation talking about the week ahead. And in that conversation, we start off with every Monday morning, this is prayer. We check in, like, Sabrina, how you doing? Nathan, how you doing? Just on an emotional level. And then we just literally go through the calendar and talk about what other stuff happening. So it could be parents' evening, it could be a meeting, it could whatever. But we run through the whole week so that we're clear and there's no hidden surprises that happen to us in our relationship. Like, oh, you didn't tell me you was going out with your friends, or I didn't say I was going out with the man them, or whatever it is. It just eradicates those surprise things when you just forgot to tell them. You know, say, so this is just a system that we put in place. It really helps us with the communication, specific, repetitive time that happens once a week. And this is what we've been doing before COVID-19. And
even in COVID-19, it's still important because we still have calls and conferences and meetings and stuff to do. The girls still have their online connections with school and stuff like that. So even those things have gone into the calendar, because if I don't talk about them and put them down and share them, it's most likely I'll forget, you'll forget, and it just won't happen, especially because you're not actually having to go anywhere. So
that's true.
This is very quick, we're not going to go into it in any detail, but one of the things we do that helps us with our communication and our understanding is that we use Google Calendars and we color code all the different things and elements of our life So for our business life to be, all the stuff will be in the diary. For orange, for instance, kitchen table talk stuff could be in the diary as pink. Family stuff could be there as blue, and everything's color coded so that we can just see what's happening over a week, over the day, week, and month. But we're not going to go into it today. But one of the things that I thought would be probably interesting just to share is around the planning time.
Yeah.
And I think it's so important that you take your relationship like a business meeting sometimes. I know it sounds silly and you're thinking that sounds dry, but sometimes it's getting the pen and paper out and just planning.
Yeah.
I think Sabrina's got 4 questions, for instance, that we've been asking ourselves as a family. Want to share those questions, Sabrina?
So what I did not too long ago, sometime this week or last week, where are we? Last week, and I couldn't sleep one of the nights, and I picked up my journal and I said, right, I'm going to just write and see what comes. And the 4 questions that came, the first one was, how have you been feeling over the last 7 weeks? And that was to me personally. So I just bullet pointed the different emotions that I felt, and there've been some irritation, frustration, overwhelmed, sad, angry, tired. And then after that, the next one after that was, what are you grateful for? And so it kind of was the flip side of the negative feelings I was feeling. And I listed the things I was grateful for. Then after that, it was, well, what do you want to change? And one of the things I felt like I really wanted to change was I wanted to get even closer and even more intimate with Nathan in our relationship, in our marriage. Kind of close as it is, like we are very close.
It's not about being complacent.
It wasn't about being complacent. It was about taking it to the next level. And not just getting settled in 14 years of routine, 14 years of doing the same old. Something different. I wanted it to be deeper. I wanted us to have, what I wrote was, I wanted to have deep and meaningful conversations that lasted until the morning, and we were chatting and laughing all evening and all morning type thing. That's what I wanted. And then the last thing was, post this crisis, what do you want to what do you want to happen? So with all the changes that you've made and all the things that you've realized, what are you going to do? What's your plan? What's your action plan? And I would advise actually that all the couples that are listening, if you're in a relationship, that you ask yourself those questions. What is it that you want? What are you grateful for? How have you been feeling? Really? How have you been feeling? Because we're all good as women and saying, I'm getting on with it. I'm just fine.
So that's something we really want to share, those 4 questions. Can you just quickly say them again?
So the first one is, how have you been feeling over the past period that we've been going through? Number two is, you're making me under pressure when you go. Number 2 is, what are you grateful for? Yeah. Number 3 is, what would you change? And number 4 is, what do you want after this period of time?
So thanks for that, Sabrina. What we're saying to couples and anyone listening is get some paper, get a pen, get a journal, get a book, and just individually write that down, those questions. Because what we've done, so Sabrina done that individually, and then she shared it with the family, and then she gave us a bit of a task. She gave us about 2 days to go away with those questions. I wrote in my journals, the girls wrote in their journals, and then we came back together, sat down, and we just shared our truths, and it was really, really good. And the reason why I'm recommending to write it down, because you get more out when you write, and you stop and you think, and you just have that focus time. So thanks for that, Sabrina. And then finally, is this principle called checking in.
Yeah, this is very important.
Okay.
So checking in for me is it's like the bedrock of our relationship, because without it, I don't know where we would be.
Yeah.
Because the truth of the matter is we get busy. Me and Sabrina are very busy individuals. We run a busy family. We run a busy company. And in the midst of the busyness, we can forget each other.
Yeah.
So years ago, we put in place what we call the 8 o'clock principle.
Yeah, years ago.
So 8 o'clock was about the girls go to bed at 8 o'clock. And 8 o'clock was our time. So no mobile phones, no laptops, sometimes no TV for a period of time. but it's just us coming together and just like, we'll start off the conversation with, how are you?
Mm-hmm.
How's your day been?
Yeah.
How are you feeling? What would you like? What would you change? And it's based on what you hear, then you just respond to that. And some of the times it's not that we've got solutions for each other, but it's the fact that we was able to hear our hearts, hear each other's experience. And that was a daily practice, like Monday to Friday.
Yeah.
We've adapted, we still do the same principle, but it's not 8 o'clock anymore, but the principle still remains, because our children have gone older and have different bedtimes now. But that principle around checking in, and then what we do sometimes when we're feeling quite creative is that check-in could be with a cup of tea, if you're really creative.
Ooh. Push the boat out.
Or if, you know, if like, just like, for instance, because I see a question coming in, and I think if you read the third question, and it helps me to go deeper on this point.
Okay, you want me to read the third one?
Yes, please.
Okay, so the third question is, how can I keep the fire burning with my girlfriend when things are so tense at this time?
Well, first of all, she shouldn't be your girlfriend, she should be your wife.
Wow.
Go bang! So, no ring, no fling. So anyway, but
Them nuggets there.
But yeah, I gotta go there sometimes, isn't it? But on a serious note, guys, to keep the fire burning is around effort and being creative. We're not going to share everything we do, but for those we have a relationship with and want to speak to us, we will talk. But the other night, for instance, or Sabrina would say, like, let me not try and take what we did together, was that we really like transformed our living room with simple items like a big white sheet on the floor. Got lots of different snacks like fruits and some nuts and some drinks and some like finger buffet food. Laid out the white sheet that was on the floor, and we had a picnic in our house.
That is so nice.
And we had loads of candles burning, and we had candles with N and S on there, like engraved. Like, this is a candle that we got the other day from celebrating our anniversary. It's a cookie candle, and a number of candles in the room, no TV, and we spoke and we shared, and we're using now a new resource that Sabrina brought the other day called Our Moments. So shout out to these guys if you want to give us, you know, some credits.
Yeah.
But it's a card game.
Okay.
And you want to just pick one quickly.
Basically,
a random card, and it's live.
There's a conversation starter. So, what are you amazingly good at?
Obviously talking.
Yes.
I think I'm amazingly good at loving you. I'm amazingly good at being creative. And then I would ask the same question to Sabrina. Pick another random question live. Oh,
I love this game already.
Yeah.
Oh, so this is it. What's something you've tried that you'll never try it ever again?
What did I answer again?
I can't remember. What did you say? Not being yourself.
Yeah, not being yourself. What did I say?
You said, so for the answer to that question, you said that for years and years and years, especially when you went into church and changed and stuff, you forgot yourself. You stopped being yourself, and you started wearing like suits and stuff that isn't really you. And you realize that actually it's not me, it doesn't work. Like, I tried it, but it doesn't work. I can only be myself. So that was your one. That was your answer for that.
Okay. There's a question here. What do people overestimate or underestimate about you, Sabrina?
So people overestimate probably my strength, because after a while I do get tired. Believe it or not, I do. And I think people underestimate my strategic ability in business. I don't think people realise just how strategic I am when I do work. So yeah, that's a quick answer to that one.
There's a question. I'm going to show you two more questions at a time. We won't answer this one because I don't want to cause beef. Something like me and Sabrina's private answer. But it says, who is your favorite relative from my side of the family?
I'm not answering any of them.
Yeah. And then we move on to that. Like, you can answer that to each other. And then finally, just so you get a snapshot of some of these questions. If a movie was made about your life, what celebrity would play you and why?
Oh, you said, I know what you said for you.
What did you say?
You said Will Smith for you.
Yeah.
And then you said Michelle Obama for me.
Yeah.
Oh, that is amazing. Perfect. Perfect.
So in terms of keeping the fire blazing, you've got to be creative, basically.
Creative. I agree.
We regularly play cards.
Mm-hmm.
You know, doing our projects is quite fun as well, like helping other people.
Yeah.
Things like this is fun for us. But you know what's really good, and I'll say this from a from a female perspective to a male, Pinterest is a really good place for if you're not sure and you don't know what to do and you just need a bit of guidance. You can go on Pinterest and you can look at people's boards who've created like amazing like date night boards or conversation boards or activities that you can do together that will help. And they're not all like, a lot of them are things that you can do in the house with nothing extra. You can just do it right there and then. Other things you can mad elaborate about and whatever. But from a female perspective, I think one of the things that I really love to do is talk. I love to share. I love to be asked questions and have deep, meaningful conversations. So your girlfriend, soon to be wife, may prefer that if you nothing all, she might just prefer you to sit and talk to her.
I think also around fire is putting efforts in. So the other day, for those who didn't watch our Between the Sheets the other day, I talked about the fact that I turned my living room or dining room area into a fine dining experience, laid a table, black tablecloth, prepared a three-course meal, prepared a three-course meal, asked my wife and my daughters to dress up into like cocktail dresses, and I dressed up a bit, and I served them like a Michelin star waiter stroke chef, and prepared food for them. So I'm saying like you can be creative, like it doesn't, be creative. Also, as a man and a woman, get sexy for each other sometimes, dress yourself up. Don't just be trying to go to bed with a Western Union tie head on or a white like be creative.
Had to go there, innit?
Always sending shots.
Always firing shots. Now I think it's true. I think especially now, because we're all in our lounge wear and our stay-at-home clothes, that you can get stuck in your stay-at-home clothes. And I know that particularly me, I can get really comfy, like, and not remember, but you've got to make an effort. So, I make an effort. Actually, it was just weekends, but now it's kind of like most of the time. Apart from today, I've probably changed up what I've been wearing a bit, combed your hair, straighten up my nails.
Makes a difference.
Make an effort for each other.
And it makes you feel better as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. I feel much better when I'm
put on a little perfume and aftershave. Yeah, so you got another question there for us, Claudia?
Yeah. I wish I ended on the third question, if I'm honest.
Crazy.
So the last question is, my partner is consumed with watching and listening to conspiracy theories all the time, and it is frustrating me. We have differing views and it's causing tension in the house. I don't know what to do. So it's kind of like a plea, cry for help, because there's no specific question.
I'm gonna go and start. You're probably gonna tie it up, I think, but yeah, I think Nathan and me, we are the same. Nathan will look at everything that's posted out there on social media and this and that, and I'm quite the opposite. Like, I don't want to look at anything, and I think at the beginning of the pandemic, I looked at stuff and it started to affect me, started to get me down. And I remember saying to Nathan that I am logging out of social media and not watching the news, and I'm turning off the BBC updates on my phone. I'm turning off Google, because even when you went on a Google search, it would pop up with all the articles about it. And I just had to take myself out of it. But I communicated that with him because it was affecting me. Like, I didn't, whether I believe them or not, or whether they're true or not, or whatever it is, like at the time where I am, it's not helping me. It's not helping anything, and it's not changing the situation that we're in. Like, for me personally, that's how I felt, that I'm reading it, okay, so if it's that, that is that, but I can't do anything about it. And so I chose to focus on the things that I can change, which is my relationship, my family, my friends, my company. No, Nathan's different. Nathan had us buying torches.
Everyone got torches.
Emergency torches for when we ran out of electric or whatever it was. Whatever, same difference. But I'm the same. That was me. But it's about communicating.
Everyone's entitled as a couple. It's important to understand that you're both entitled to go and look at what you want to look at.
Yeah.
But where I think it gets a bit tricky is the thought that came to me was around, because of lack of vision, people perish. Vision. Everyone say vision who's watching this. Everyone say vision. Vision. What is the vision that you see for your lives together? 5 years time, 10 years time, 15 years time, 30 years time. What's the direction of travel that you're going down? Because if now the things that I am looking at is consuming me so much, and it's not getting us down the direction we're going in terms of our vision, then you're going to have those tough conversations of like, where are we going? Where are you going? Where am I? You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
And I think going back to like some of the points you've already said, is that what COVID-19 does is it really just exposes what sometimes was already there anyway.
Yeah.
So this is where you have to have those critical questions, like what Sabrina says. How are you feeling? What do you appreciate in this time? What do you want to change? Where do you want to go? So important, because once you do that and you sit down together as a couple, those answers are going to give you some clues. Those clues are going to be like, you're either going to have to, make some decisions that may be tough decisions to say, you know what, we need to get some things right. Or you may be making decisions where it's like, you know what, this ain't working. We're not going down the same route in life.
Yeah.
And you have to be willing to share your truth to the point where it's going to risk the marriage, risk the relationship. Like in my Between the Sheets, I talk about before we get married and how I was really honest with Sabrina at the start of our relationship because I wanted to set a clear foundation. It's so important that you still have those check-in points that like, actually, I'm not happy with this and this needs to change.
Yeah.
And it's only when we have those honest conversations with each other, no matter how difficult they are, we can create the environment to make them a bit more easier, but it doesn't take away the difficulty of the conversation. And we have the conversation, we have the real talk, what I like to call. And because I've had to have real talks with Sabrina, and Sabrina's have to have real conversations with me, but it's the timing.
And if you're on the same page and you are working together for the same plan or purpose or goal, you're both walking together for the same goal, then it really doesn't matter what Nathan's consumed with looking at or what I'm consumed with looking at. If we're working together and we know that, all right, I've looked at that enough, I'm going to put it down, but we're coming back to the point of our relationship or whatever it is, and that's fine. But if it's not and you're so far apart, and it's those 4 questions,
it's critical.
It's asking those
questions. Let's keep it 100, guys. This is evaluation time. For some people, I just feel to say, and God help me, is that it may be time for change. You may, after this pandemic, because you see, when you're true with yourself, so let's just say hypothetically, Sabrina does her goal setting and journaling, and Sabrina says, actually, I want to go to New Zealand because I really feel that I need to be in New Zealand and I want to make this much money and I want to do this and that. And I have no ambition to go to New Zealand. So once I hear that news, we have to respond to that. Is that making sense?
Yeah.
Make decisions. So Serena's gonna either compromise and not go to New Zealand, or I'm gonna compromise, or we're gonna both just go, or we're not gonna go. And it's those tough conversations, like, what do you want? And that's why it goes back to the thing around vision. Like, vision is so important. But at the same time, the thought that was coming to my head in terms of the conspiracy theories is the question asked for the partner is that, what is it that you want? Because the truth of the matter is, I said this to Sabrina the other night, and I was like, Sabrina, I'm a very jealous partner.
You are.
At times.
Yes.
And Sabrina's taken up colouring. And it's not, I know you're saying, oh gosh, but for me, I've recognized that Sabrina likes doing colouring. But Claudia and people listening, this colouring thing, Sabrina could spend probably up to 4 hours a day.
It's not that long. Is it that long, really? Okay. I feel like it's an hour. Wow.
So I'm just twiddling my thumbs. Like, if I'm not busy or I haven't got nothing to do, I'm just like, have you finished yet?
Yeah.
And this boils down to a practice that I want everyone to do who listens to this, is go and search Gary Chapman's 5 love languages. It's so imperative that couples, relationships, understand each other's love language. My love language is touch.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And I think it is quality time as well. Sabrina's is, or was, acts of service and quality time. So, Claudia, what that means is I could go and spend, and I've done this in the past, £2,000 on Sabrina worth of gifts. Come and bring them to Sabrina, all happy, thinking I'm the man. And in terms of Sabrina's love tank, it doesn't hit at all.
Yeah, it doesn't satisfy. It
doesn't satisfy. So Sabrina could walk away from the exchange of me giving her all these £2,000 worth of gifts. So it could either be one item, or it could be, 1,000 gifts for 1,000 items. Sabrina would walk away from that and actually could have the audacity to say, I don't think Nathan loves me.
Yeah.
Sabrina could do the same back to me. Sabrina could buy me gifts, tell me words of affirmation, because this is one of the love languages. Nathan, I love you, Nathan, I love you, Nathan, I love you. But you see, if you don't hug me, hold me, and let me feel and touch, hold hands. In my love tank, I'm not hearing that Sabrina loves me. Yeah. And sometimes you can be miscommunicating because you're using the wrong love languages. So those 5 love languages are, for those who have never heard it before, let me see if I can remember them, because I haven't read this book.
Acts of service.
Acts of service, words of affirmation, gifts, physical touch.
Quality time.
Did we say quality time already? Quality time.
Quality time.
Yeah. So that's quality time.
Giving of gifts.
Acts of service.
Acts of service, words of affirmation, and physical touch.
Yes.
Okay. Gary Chapman, 5 love languages.
You can actually go, if you Google it, you can do a test, and it will tell you what your top ones are. And I think that's really important, because
that is good.
The person that's saying he spends all his time he or she consumed in this stuff, and it's causing a lot of tension because we have different views. You can have different views, but is it because he's spending time looking at it all the time that's causing the problem? Or is it because you've got different views that's causing the problem?
True.
So if he's spending too much time looking at that, is it because your love tank is you want to spend quality time with him talking about something different, and you're not getting that?
The more horrible one. Is it escapism?
Yeah.
What is it about you that I don't want to be around you that I find more stimulating or more exciting looking at conspiracy theories all day?
Colouring in isn't escapism.
I'm not saying it is. I'm just I'm
just saying because I developed. One of my reflection points during this time is that I learned I don't have anything that I do for myself.
Yeah.
And I was colouring the girls' colouring books with them, and then I realised I really like this, so I've got my own ones.
Same.
I've read it from cover to cover.
So what's this?
So this is called The Family CEO, and it's about building a healthy and happy, successful family home using the CEO template. So running your home a bit like a company. What's really interesting is that some of the stuff that I've put in my book have kind of linked in some ways to the things that I've read in here, and we have some very similar mindsets. So it could be in the way we run our home. So we're Christians and we believe that it's God, family, and everything else. And he does the same thing in his book. I talk a lot about how I manage our children. I know children come up quite a lot in relationships. They feel like you focus all your energy and your time on them and you forget about the other person. So I factored in like a timetable of activities, of chores, housework, who's going to wash up today, who's going to do whatever. And I share all of that in my book as well. So it's a really good book, similar in a lot of ways to mine, but it's written from a male perspective. So it's a good one to read. Another one for men out there is the book by TD Jakes called He Emotions. And I think that's a really good book for men and women to read. Now, Nathan read it first before we got married, and I think that was the book that catapulted him to propose. But I read it.
I'm going to get it.
Proper book
to read.
I'm going to get it.
And I can't encourage you guys enough to invest in your relationship. Same way you invest in your clothes and your wardrobe and yourself and your job and everything else. Invest in your relationship. Buy books, buy resources, get fun, get creative, do different things. And if you don't know, go online and have a look, see what other people are doing. It's a really good idea.
Any questions online? Because we're going to go now in a minute. I can see the statements. There's no questions.
No questions have been sent in. But if after we finish, we get questions, then we will answer them. But
excellent. I hope everyone that's listening found that useful. We're just trying to be honest. We're not saying we're experts, but we have experience.
Have a little bit of experience, don't we?
Yeah. And that's why we wanted you guys on, because we know that you are building together and you've been building together for a very long time, and have a family together, have a home together. And, we thought, who best really to ask? Come on, who best to ask?
Thank you for having us.
Yeah,
thank you.
It's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure. But yes, guys, we will also put the links of the books that you guys mentioned into the comments, so people can refer to those. But that was amazing. I got so much out of it, so I hope everybody else did as well. I'm literally like frantically writing down my notes, like, yes, guys. Yeah.
And please check out the next week's Kitchen Table Talks.
Claudia, you can tell them what we're going to be doing next week.
Yeah, so next week we will be having a check-in. So we will be going over all the webinars that we have had already. We'll be seeing how you guys are, how you're managing during this time, and just having, a real time of reflection, evaluation, with some cake and a cup of tea or coffee or hot chocolate, whatever it is, in true Kitchen Table Talks fashion. So next week, Wednesday, at 6 o'clock, we'll be back here and we'll be having a real check-in. And then the following week after that, we'll be having another webinar with Sabrina Dennis, talking about mental health and practicing mindfulness. So I'm really looking forward to that. And I think that is it for now, guys. But thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Thank you, Nathan and Sabrina. Appreciate you.
We appreciate you. Take care.